Uh, Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I have several news update to share with you. So March 24, 2022. Thank you again for joining me. So I always appreciate your presence and sharing, commenting, and also subscribing to my channel so we can share the news update on Ethiopia and at the global at large. So the first one is if you remember, the Ethiopian Orthodox Patriarch Orthodox Church Patriarch, uh, the head of the church, he expressed his opinion on ongoing genocide and other atrocities in Ethiopia, especially the burning of human beings in Benishangul Gumuz. So since that time, he is now targeted by Prosperity Party officials, including the Prime Minister advisor Daniel Kibret. So now, according to Digital Wayane Media, there is a plot. There is a plot to eliminate this patriotic or force him out from that country, or maybe eliminate him. So DW Digital Wayane is claiming there is a secret meeting uh, organized by prosperity officials, especially Prime Minister advisor Daniel Kibret, and also there is a church guy they shared on his face. I will show you. This guy, Daniel Kibret, and Abuna Yusuf, Yusuf, Abuna Yusuf. Here you see with the Prime Minister. So this guy and Daniel Kibret given assignment by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to eliminate this Orthodox Church head for speaking up, for raising his voice, for expressing the frustration going on in Ethiopia, the genocide, especially the burning of human beings. So now they try to eliminate him if possible, or they try to force him out or do something against him. So that is the plot going on. And if something can be done through, the religious followers, or I don't know what can be done, but this is ongoing plot to eliminate Ethiopian Orthodox Church head, Patriarch Matthias. So this is ongoing, and Digital Wayane is claiming there's an ongoing operation assigned to Abuna Yosef, the Daniel Kibret, to carry out this secretive, very dangerous assignment. Okay, so I don't know what can be done, but we should share it with concern and share it with the international community, with Ethiopians, if it can be done. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed will do whatever, to keep himself in power. He will not hesitate to carry out the assassination. The other thing is the Ethiopian Airlines also changing leadership positions and also the board members. The long time, 11 years CEO of that airlines with 37 years service, Mr. Tawalde Gebre Mariam, is forced out. But he's claiming leaving the airlines due to health concerns. But according to different media resources, he was forced out systematically. So now the airlines has new board members, and these are the names provided by Wazema Media. Girma Wake, is assigned to lead the board as a director, and also Lieutenant General Yilma Merdasa, Ethiopian Airlines commander. So the other one is Mesfin Tesfau. Mesfin Tesfau will replace as a CEO of Ethiopian Airlines. He will replace Tewolde Gebremariem. So we have now Mesfin Tesfau. Mesfin Tesfau. He is also a 38 years experience in the airline industry. The other board member is Teklewald Atnafu. Temasgen Turune from intelligence, Ethiopian intelligence director. Temasgen Turune, Teklewald Atnafu, Mesfin Tesfau, Girma Wake, and Lieutenant General Yilma Merdasa. So these are the new members of Ethiopian Airlines. There is a chaos right there, and there is an issue of the safety of the airlines also. But under Tewolde Gebremariem, the airlines was get international recognition for excellent service, except the one very deadly crash happened last time. So this is about the airlines. The other one is Ethiopian Human Rights Commission released a concern about Karrayyu Oromos. I have that one. And these Karrayyu Oromos, about 3-4 months, especially the Abagadas, 16 of them assassinated, massacred under this prime minister, especially the Oromia regional police commissioner was named. So now there are, so many activities happening to settle that issue by intimidation, coercion, threat, and or even the assassination attempt of those who are following the case. One senior guy who, the elder guy remained from this group, following the case very seriously and, looking for justice for the massacre. He was also run over by a vehicle I think it's in Matahara town. They followed him because he's following the case very seriously. So the government is try to use money, force, intimidation, coercion to settle this issue, and instead of bringing the killers into justice. So this is also going on, and I have more to say on this one. Let's say thank you again for joining me. Let's EHRC, Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, calls for criminal liability as Oromia region prepares for conciliation process with Karrayyu community. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, EHRC, cautioned that the planned reconciliation process between the families of ex executed executed Karrayyu Abagadas and the perpetrators. Conciliation should not replace or impede criminal liability, the Commission warned. In a statement released yesterday, the Ethiopia Human Rights Commission stated that in a follow-up investigation carried out between March 7 and 12, the Commission spoke to the Oromia Region Attorney General Bureau, the Regional Police Commission, the East Shore Zone Police, the investigative team, as well as Karrayyu elders and community leaders. It is to be recalled that weeks after the killing of Karrayyu Abagadas on December 1st of 2021, members of the ruling party publicly admitted government forces involvement in the killing. Angassa Ibrahim, a member of the House of People's Representative, accused the head of the Oromia Police Commission, Commissioner Ararsa Mardasa, of being behind the killing in a live Facebook video, while the State Minister of Peace, Taye Denda, posted to his personal Facebook page with over 500,000 followers, implying that the Karrayyu Gada leaders were killed by elements within the government. The Commission confirmed that the Oromia Regional State has established an investigative team comprising Oromia Attorney General Office and Oromia Police has launched an investigation into the killings. 9 people have been arrested and are being investigated until March 13, 2022. After commending the efforts by the Oromia regional government to hold perpetrators to account, the Commission noted that suspects who had involvement in the killing remain at large. Citing reliable sources, the Commission stated that the suspects are government officials who are influencing the ongoing investigation. Security and administrative personnel are failing to facilitate the fast completion of the investigation, the Commission said. The statement also noted that the suspects who are under police custody were not brought to the court of law. This comes 2 days after the Oromia regional government announced that it was preparing to hold a reconciliation process with Karrayyu community. In a statement released on March 22, the Oromia Communication Bureau stated that it reached an agreement with the Abagada Union to reconcile those who committed the killings and the families of victims. The statement didn't identify the perpetrators by name. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission urged that such attempts to address public grievances must be with the full consent and involvement of the victims, the families of the victims, and the local community. The Ethiopia Human Rights Commissioner Daniel Bekkele urged government officials and stakeholders to work for a comprehensive reconciliation, peace, justice, and accountability. So that is a very, very encouraging statement coming out of uh, from Mr. Dr. Daniel Bakala office, even though this office is funded, supported, and established by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. So sometimes they have very strong opinion, very strong statement, very strong report. So this is very good, very good. We should appreciate them. So this is on, even the Karrayyu Bagadas interviewed, and, there is a coercion, I say, there is a threat, there is a rush to cover up the crimes, to cover up the crimes and to avoid justice for Arar Samardasa, the killer, the organizer who, who named, who named for this killing. I don't think he is the only one, but he is the one named for this one. He knows if the right time comes, he will tell us who ordered him, why he killed this, Abagadas. This is not a very simple crime. This is an attempt to silence all Oromos, to eliminate their leaders. So this is a very serious crime. I hope time will come when these individuals face justice. For now, they are rushing, they are intimidating, they are, doing everything to cover up the crimes. Ethiopia denounced New York Times report on deaths of MSF staff members in Tigray. At today's bi-weekly press briefing, the spokesperson of the Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Dina Mufti, denounced the report by the New York Times surrounding the killing of three Medicines Sans Frontier Doctors Without Borders MSF staff in the Tigray region. The ambassador called the report accusatory and went on to argue that the New York Times published the story without further investigation into the matter. He called the New York Times report baseless and argued that the soldiers cited in the report were captives and that they could be coerced by the TPLF. Ambassador Dina recalled that the Ethiopian government expressed regret over the deaths of these MSF employees and suggested that the deceased should have asked for a military escort to avoid the killings. The ambassador also recalled the establishment of an investigative group comprising members from the ENDF, the Federal Police, and the Ministry of Justice to further investigate the case. Further investigation was not possible since the area was under the control of the TPLF, he said. Furthermore, the spokesperson discussed the recent visit by U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, David Satterfield. Dina said that Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Demeke Mekonnen met the Special Envoy and expressed that the bill HR 6600 and S 3199 are bound to strain the long-standing and historical relations of the two countries. He further explained that Demeke Mekonnen held virtual talks with the diaspora representatives to call upon the diaspora communities to denounce HR 6600 and S 3199. The ambassador also raised the border dispute between South Sudan and Ethiopia. He stated that Ethiopia's ambassador in South Sudan held talks with South Sudan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, where they discussed the need to hold a meeting of the Joint Boundaries Commission to put a stop to the repeated attacks by Murule militants on Ethiopian soils. So Ethiopia is denouncing the New York Times report about Doctors Without Borders employees killed in Tigray. So that's the report, and also the Ethiopian government warning the United States repeatedly about HR 6600 and S 3199. And these bills supposed to happen something to them yesterday. For some reason, they are rescheduled for next week. We don't know what caused the cancellation on the hearing yesterday. It could be the U.S. Special Envoy visit in Ethiopia and some agreement with the Prime Minister. We don't know, but nothing happened on these bills for now, and rescheduled the hearing. Also, something also surprising coming out of the Ethiopian government. The Ethiopian government, federal government, declares humanitarian truce in Tigray effective today. So this is also happening. So based on humanitarian ground, the Ethiopian government declared, ceasefire. Ceasefire. It's actually ceasefire, not to fight with the Tigray region, and humanitarian aids will be allowed. Normal relationship will be established. This is a big news. This is a big news if it is true. But Abiy Ahmed is, and all prosperity officials working with him are not trustworthy from past experience. They say something, they do another thing. So, but if this is true, if it's happened because of the U.S. Special Envoy's visit in Addis Ababa, we appreciate. This is good. The Tigrayans suffer the most, just like the Oromos. The Oromos have been suffering for many, many years under OPDO and under the Prosperity Party. And there is also ongoing preparation, militarization, and intended operation to destroy Oromos property. It's happening now, the preparation. So we need a divine intervention to stop these Prosperity Party officials from engaging into the war, genocide in Oromia, just like they did in Tigray. So we appreciate U.S. involvement, if this is because of them, and ending the hostility in Tigray and allowing the humanitarian aid to go. And these people have been suffering for a while. So it's good news. And if this postponement of this HR 6600 S3199, because of this David negotiation with Ethiopian officials, we will see. Remain to be seen. Okay. This is expression of condolences. The Oromo community at home and around the world saddened by the passing of Sheikh, Haj Hassan Gammada. He was one of the prominent Oromos who fought for Oromo's freedom movement and challenging the brutalities Oromos have been suffering under various Ethiopian rulers. Sheikh, Haji Hassan Gammada funeral was celebrated by thousands and thousands of Oromos, politicians like Jawar Mohammed, Raya Bamecha, and other dignitaries and friends of Oromo in Shashamane. Concerned Citizens Media expresses its condolences on the passing of this Oromo freedom fighter and wishes comfort and strength to the families and friends of Haji Hassan Gammada. Rest in peace. Another condolences also on the passing of Madam Albright. You might know her, but I listened to her speech different times, and I like her concern about democracy, freedom, justice around the world. So she passed away yesterday too. So first female former U.S. Secretary of State, Dr. Madeleine Albright, died at age 84 yesterday due to cancer. She served as U.S. United Nations Ambassador and as U.S. Secretary of State during Bill Clinton's administration. Remembering Albright, former U.S. President Bill Clinton described her as a passionate force for freedom, democracy, and human rights. This is from the family. We have lost a loving mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, and friends. Dr. Madeleine Albright received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in the year 2012, the nation's highest civilian honor, for her service to the nation and to the global community. Former President Barack Obama shared one of his favorite memories of Albright. At naturalization ceremony, an Ethiopian man came up to Madeleine and said, "Only in America could a refugee from Africa meet the Secretary of State." She replied, "Only in America could a refugee from Central Europe become Secretary of State." Obama said in his statement, Madeleine Albright, survived by 3 daughters, Anne, Alice, and Catherine, and 6 grandchildren. Concerned citizens media applaud Dr. Madeleine's lifelong achievement and service to our nation and to the global community, especially in promoting democracy, freedom, and human rights here at home and around the world. I wish strength and comfort to the families and to all impacted by the passing of this true public servant and giant public figure, Dr. Madeleine Albright. Rest in peace. So this is the expression of condolences. United Nations investigator find Israel is practicing apartheid in occupied territories. United Nations Special Rapporteur on Monday accused Israel of committing the crime of apartheid in the occupied Palestinian territories. United Nations appointed investigator Michael Link has been investigating rights abuses in the occupied Palestinian territories. He said the situation on the ground met the legal definition of apartheid set out by the international law. The system, he added, ensures Israeli domination over Palestinians. In the Palestinian territory that Israel has occupied since 1967, there are now 5 million stateless Palestinians living without rights, in an acute state of subjugation, and with no path to self-determination or a viable independent state, which the international community has repeatedly promised is their right. He wrote in advance copy of this report. The differences in living conditions and the citizenship rights and benefits are stark, deeply discriminatory, and maintained through systematic and institutionalized oppression, the report said. The Canadian law professor's report is the first time a United Nations appointed investigator has accused Israel of apartheid. However, it adds to a growing number of right groups who have raised concern about the apartheid system Israel is maintaining on the ground. Israel says Link's analysis, like that of right groups before him, are baseless and are a smear complaint against its existence. This report recycles baseless and outrageous labels previously published by NGOs that share the same goal as the author of this report: to delegitimize, and criminalize the state of Israel for what it is, the nation state of the Jewish people with equal rights for all its citizens, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It, it said in a statement. Credit for this one, Middle East Monitor. Okay, these words are good, and the United Nations report of apartheid, Israel practicing apartheid, uh, you know, repeated by other NGOs, and Israel claiming is nothing happening. But it has been reported so many videos, videos on social media. The Israeli practices are open. They are visible to anybody to see how they treat the Palestinians. You know, demolishing their houses, bombing them, and burning their houses, arresting Palestinians, expanding their territorial into further Palestinian areas. So there's no question, even though Israel denies, there is no question. Very brutal treatment of Palestinians happening, and talk of 1967 is out of question to me. No, no way. I think the Palestinians should rush and gate the ground they have now, and hold the Israeli accountable for the other 1967. You have to have something, then negotiate about the other boundaries. If you keep sitting, you are losing more grounds, more settlement coming to your area, and more bombing, and you don't have, statehood, and you don't have a right to claim against Israel. So it's happening. It's happening, and Palestinians are losing friends even in the Arab world. Some Arab countries are joining, forming good relationship with Israel, and Palestinians are without voice. And the two-state solution is also delayed for some reason. We don't know. So they are suffering more than apartheid, I think. More than apartheid. Okay, this is about United States State Department Antony Blinken on the sanction of Russian officials and bank defense department, sanctioning additional members of Russia's Duma, Russia's parliament, Russian elites, bank board members, and defense elites. President Putin's war continued to inflict horror and widespread suffering on the people of Ukraine. At the same time, in Russia, the State Duma continued to use its legislative power to target domestic dissenters and political opponents, disrupt the free flow of information, and restrict the human rights and the fundamental freedom of the citizens of Russia. The United States today designated 328 members of the Russian State Duma, in addition to the 12 members designated on March 11. These members supported the Kremlin violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, including through treaties recognizing the self-proclaimed independence of Russian proxy-controlled areas of eastern Ukraine, the so-called Donetsk People's Republic (DNR) and Luhansk People's Republic (LNR). The United States is also designating the Russian State Duma in its entirety, as well as Herman Gref, the head of Sberbank and a close ally of Putin. Today's actions are taken pursuant to Executive Order 14024, which authorizes sanctions against Russia for its harmful foreign activities. These actions complement the ongoing efforts of our allies and partners to hold to account enablers of this unquestionable war of choice against Ukraine and its people. As part of this action, we are also targeting multiple Russian elites to include their properties and family members. Notably, this will include 17 members of the board of PJSC Sovoko Bank, a designated entity. Those executives join the growing list of individuals associated with the blocked Russian financial institutions that now also find themselves subject to US sanctions. Additionally, three times Volgo Group is being redesignated for having operated in the financial service sector of the Russian Federation economy. As a result, Gennady Nikolaevich Tymchenko, the owner of OOO Volga Group, will also be redesignated along with OOO Transoil, which Tymchenko owns. Tymchenko's wife, Elena Petrova Tymchenko, and daughter Natalia Browning will now also be designated along with Ksenikia Genendava Frank, a board member of OOO Transoil, and her spouse, Gleb Sergeyevich Frank. Additionally, the United States is taking action to impose additional severe costs on Russia's defense establishment. This includes designating multiple defense-related entities and one associated individual. An important component of today's action is designating Russian defense companies that are part of Russia's defense industrial base and that produce weapons that have been used in Russia's war of aggression. By cutting off dozens of Russian defense companies from the US financial system, today's action will have a deep and long-lasting effect on Russia's defense industrial base. We are targeting and will continue to target the suppliers of Russia's war effort and, in turn, their supply chain. With our partners and allies, the United States aims to strike the heart of Russia's ability to engage in a warfare and carry out aggression against other countries, including Ukraine. We will continue to impose costs until Putin ends this unprovoked war against Ukraine. We call on those closest to Putin to cease and publicly condemn this cold-blooded war, which has caused the unquestionable deaths of hundreds of civilians, including children and the largest humanitarian catastrophe in Europe since the Second World War. At the same time, you continue to support Ukraine, including through an additional 800 million in security assistance, bringing the total U.S. security assistance committed to Ukraine to 1 billion in the past 2 weeks and more than 2 billion since last March. The United States is largest single country donor of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. We stand with the brave people of Ukraine who are demonstrating incredible courage and fierce determination in defending their country against the Kremlin's aggression. So that's a very strong statement, and sanctioning the Russian parliament, Duma, the Russian defense industry, and people also involved with the bank CEOs. So it's a very tough one, and but the problem is all these efforts are not ending the war. That's the problem. How we gonna stop the war? The war Vladimir Putin started unprovoked. So that's a challenge. Yes, all the weapons went to Ukraine, all the finance, all the humanitarian advices, everything is there. But the shelling, the suffering of Ukrainian, the destruction of their cities never stopped. Even the dialogue still continue, but Russians are suffering also, but the Ukrainian cities are burning. And I don't know what they're gonna force these invaders to stop shelling the cities. So thank you again. That's the updates I have, and let's share a couple of videos and conclude today's presentation. Okay, just a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go.
Systems engineering is a very holistic approach, really, to all engineering.
Students gain a holistic view.
Okay.
A sigh of relief in the Tigray conflict in Ethiopia.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Hold on. Apologies for technical issues. Here we go. There we go. So the first one is about Ethiopia, declaring the end of hostilities against the Tigray region. As I said, it's good. It's good if it's coming due to this special envoy. He was there for 2 days. I hope he convinced them to do this, and let's see.
A sigh of relief in the Tigray conflict in Ethiopia. Ethiopia's government on Thursday announced what it called an indefinite humanitarian truce in its war-ravaged Tigray region, saying the action was necessary to allow unimpeded relief supplies into the area. The government said in a statement that Tigray's forces must also reciprocate the truce for the humanitarian situation to improve in the region. It further urged fighters law to Tigray's fugitive leaders to desist from all acts of further aggression and withdraw from areas they have occupied in neighboring regions. Ethiopia's government has faced growing international pressure to ease restrictions on the flow of humanitarian aid into Tigray. The war is believed to have caused deaths of tens of thousands of people and displacement of millions. The World Food Programme warned earlier this year that 3/4 of Tigray's population of 6 million are using extreme coping strategies to survive, and more than a third are suffering an extreme lack of food.
86 countries co-sponsored Ukraine's resolution in the General Assembly demanding humanitarian access to civilians and an end to Russia's aggression.
It will send a powerful message aimed at contributing to a breakthrough in humanitarian action on the ground and making the aggressor stop its unprovoked war.
France, one of the resolution's authors, described the war as a threat to international peace and security.
The draft resolution introduced this morning by Ukraine is the fruit of an inclusive process, and it reflects a balance taking account of the proposals made by countries from all regions. There's an urgent need to act and to reach an immediate cessation of hostilities.
But Russia's ambassador called the text political and disingenuous, and as the speeches continued, brought his own version of a humanitarian resolution to the more powerful Security Council.
We're submitting for a vote a resolution which is non-politicized and is in this way similar to other draft humanitarian resolutions of the Security Council. This is something which UN humanitarian representatives on the ground would be very interested in, more so than any humanitarian resolution from the General Assembly.
Russia's resolution was soundly defeated, with its only support coming from China.
The resolution that we saw today was a cynical effort by Russia to exploit the crisis which they have caused. Their resolution called for respect for international humanitarian law, but overlooked the fact that they are committing war crimes.
South Africa sought a compromise, submitting a humanitarian resolution to the General Assembly which didn't call out Russia. It was among 35 countries that abstained on a vote 3 weeks ago condemning Russia's aggression. So many countries signed up to speak in the General Assembly Hall about the humanitarian situation. The speeches went on all day and are expected to continue into Thursday. The Ukrainian draft is expected to pass, given it has nearly 90 co-sponsors. The question is by how much. Ukraine and its backers are hoping to show Russia's increasing isolation on the international stage. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, the United Nations.
She fled the Nazis as a child and rose to become one of the most powerful women in the history of the U.S. government. Madeleine Albright, America's first female Secretary of State, has died at the age of 84. Rosalind Jordan now looks back on her life and career.
Without any mental...
Madeleine Albright made history when in 1997, she became the first woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State.
Discharge the duties of the office.
Discharge the duties of the office.
On which I am about to enter.
On which I am about to enter.
Albright wielded her power in direct and controversial ways, enforcing the UN economic embargo against Iraq.
Despite Iraq's present weakness, the future threat has not been erased. Iraq's behavior and intentions must change before our policies can change. Otherwise, we will allow the scorpion that bit us once to bite us again.
Pushing U.S. allies to back a military strike on Iraq in 1998 because of Saddam Hussein's refusal to let UN weapons inspectors into the country.
We have said many times that we prefer to have a diplomatic solution, but we need to resolve this problem, and we have also said that we will take what necessary means in order to achieve those two objectives.
And supporting the U.S. bombing of Kosovo in 1999 to protect Bosnian Muslims.
What was happening in the former Yugoslavia, it was a faraway place with people with unpronounceable names. And I felt that we did have to do something. And what I'm proudest of is what we did in Bosnia and what later, when I was Secretary of State, we did in Kosovo.
Madeleine Korbel was born in the former Czechoslovakia in 1937, the daughter of a diplomat. The Korbel family fled to the U.S. after communists took power in Prague in 1947. After university, Korbel married Joseph Albright and raised a family. At age 39, she completed her PhD and launched her foreign policy career, including serving on the National Security Council under President Jimmy Carter and serving as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations under President Bill Clinton.
Today we begin to cleanse the hatred that has torn apart the former Yugoslavia.
Albright was criticized for pushing a tough policy on Iraq that led to children dying of hunger and medicine shortages.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. Is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
And Albright failed to broker peace between the Palestinians and Israelis. She also couldn't stop North Korea from selling ballistic missiles to other countries. In her later years, Albright set up a consultancy, taught future diplomats, and became something of a pop culture figure in the United States. She wrote a book about the messages behind the brooches she wore.
I am so sorry to keep you waiting.
And Albright appeared twice on a TV drama about a fictional Secretary of State. More than anything, Madeleine Albright will likely be remembered for holding an unvarnished view of the world and willing to confront challenges head-on.
By advertising on YouTube, I catch the eye of my ideal customers at the right time.
Albright. I think one more maybe. Okay, this is the last one on North Korea.
National Security Council held hours after Pyongyang launched an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM. It's the first such missile test in more than 4 years.
The government urges North Korea to immediately stop actions that raise tensions on the Korean peninsula and cause regional instability, and return to diplomatic solutions as soon as possible.
Previous ICBMs launched by North Korea have been tipped with super-large heavy warheads capable of striking the United States. Japan says this latest test shows North Korea's technology has advanced.
Based on the fact that the missile this time flew higher than an altitude of 6,000 kilometers and much higher than the launch of the intercontinental ballistic missile Hwasong-15 in November of 2017, we think the launch this time involves a new model of an ICBM-class missile.
For years, attempts to dismantle North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs have failed. In 2018, the leaders of South and North Korea signed an agreement outlining steps to denuclearize the peninsula, but tensions persist. A year later, Donald Trump became the first sitting US president to set foot inside North Korea and met its leader Kim Jong-un. Their meetings were historic but failed to produce a result. North Korea has continued to launch short-range ballistic missiles. Facing an economic crisis because of international sanctions and the pandemic, analysts say the show of military muscle may be intended as a morale boost at home and to show the world it's a force to be reckoned with.
It's clear that the Joe Biden administration is not willing to enter any negotiations with North Korea, unlike President Trump. And that's kind of antagonizing Pyongyang. So Pyongyang is responding in the way that it knows how, which is to cause instability across the Indo-Pacific and launch the series of missile tests.
South Korea responded by also firing missiles. It said it wanted to demonstrate its strength and ability to punish. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
Okay, so these are the updates for today, and the North Korea issue is one of the challenging of our time, and no solution at all. And they are also showing us their strengths by testing missiles, ballistic missiles and other missiles. They telling us, hey, you need to negotiate with me, and you cannot just sanction me and keep silent. So try to tell us, hey, act now. Okay, so that's another challenge. Plus the Iran nuclear issue is also not resolved. Negotiation still going on, but not resolved. So many international issues. let me conclude today's presentation. Number one, the plot Digital Wayane was talking should pay attention that one. And, you know, very serious plot against the Ethiopian Orthodox Church head, you know, patriotic Matthias, Abuna Matthias. So that's a very serious one. I know Abiy will do it, no question. He did against popular singer Hachalu Hundessa. He did against the Oromo lawyers, Abdul Jabbar Hussein, and so many killings carried out under his leadership. So this also another attempt, another undercover operation designed by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed against this head of church for speaking up against the burning of Ethiopians and other atrocities happening in that government. And that should be, you know, seriously followed up, and the international communities also, they should follow these things very seriously and save the life of this guy by any means, you know, whether he stay there or he want to leave the country. They want him to leave. If not, they want to kill him. That's already decided. The other thing is the Karrayyu massacre should not be covered up. The Karrayyu leaders, leaders, Abagadas, the Ethiopian government is trying to use money, intimidation, coercion to silence them. They should not be silenced. Those people must face justice, not only about settling with money. They should face justice. And the families deserve, and the Oromo in general, the Oromo community in general, they deserve justice for their leadership. So Ararsa Mardasa, he should be accounted for, and he should tell us who ordered him to kill, to conduct this, huge, very huge crime, very bad crime against these leaders. So they should not be intimidated. I know the intimidation is going on. I know the threat is going on, and even the assassination attempt is going on against those following the case. So we should follow this and work hard to account these people now or when the time is right. The other good thing is Ethiopia declaring, ending of hostilities against the Tigray region, which is good. I hope it is true. I hope it is settled by U.S. Special Envoy for Africa, maybe some kind of signed agreement, because Abiy and his Prosperity Party officials are not trustworthy. They are liars. So I hope this is true to end the suffering of the Tigray region. And I hope also the Ethiopian government, the Abiy Ahmed government, plus the Oromia region, stop preparing to wage war against Oromos. They should settle their dispute through negotiation on the table, and let the people decide the future of that country instead of Prosperity Party deciding on the life and the country. So let the people decide. If the people want Prosperity Party to continue, let them have that choice instead of waging a war against the people. So, and that's, I'll conclude today's presentation. Thank you for joining me. Please share, subscribe, like my video, and be safe, and so long.